All right, guys, ask just about any shoulder specialist, and something you'll find that they all agree upon. One of the best things we can do for our overall shoulder health, whether you're injured or healthy, to spend some time hanging, all right? Overhand, underhand, neutral, whatever it is. So I like implementing hangs a lot, especially as a prime exercise before pressing, but I also really like doing it as a superset with some of my overhead press. But there's a very specific way I want you guys to do it. For one, overhand hang for this example, let's talk about the upper body first. So when we hang, two things that are gonna happen, which is pretty interesting, is our ribs are gonna flare out and our pelvis is gonna anteriorly rotate when we're in the hanging position. Those are two things that come up a lot and that we wanna basically correct. A lot of us adopt this extension-based strategy when squatting, when pressing, when pulling, and it's not the best. You'd rather adopt a more neutral position where our ribs are down by way of our obliques and abdomen controlling the rib cage, as well as the pelvis not being so dumped forward, which is anterior rotation. We'd rather have a neutral pelvis. It's gonna give us access to our glutes, our hamstrings, our adductors, everything. You just get a lot more involvement of all the surrounding musculature of the hips with the neutral pelvis, as well as some abdominal intervention. So this is a great drill to kind of feel the end range of extension and then relatively get into a neutral position. And this offers a great context for you to actually feel that happening. So when we hang, again, our pelvis dumps forward and our ribs flare out. So within this context of hanging, I like to allow that to happen, and then I want to exhale, draw my ribs down, and then what I can do is I can have a neutral pelvis with this 90-90 hip and knee position, right? So here I'm getting the head through, so I'm getting a lot of stretch in the lats. It's gonna offer me greater access to a better overhead position. I have my obliques and my abdomen drawing my ribs down so that my ribs are creating a neutral thoracic position, as well as bringing my knees up, which is gonna get my pelvis from that extreme anterior rotation back to neutral, as well as having my lower abdomen, which insert into the pelvis, creating that neutral pelvic position. Rather than being extended with ribs out, no oblique involvement, extended and expanded abdomen and compressed lower back with an anterior tilt. Instead of that, what I'm gonna do is, with the hang, I'm gonna take an exhale, use my abdomen and obliques to bring the ribs down, as well as bring the pelvis neutral, which is gonna help teach and create some kind of sensory commitment and understanding to that neutral position. And because I'm hanging, it's gonna help me have a better feel of that serratus and oblique intervention controlling the ribs and my lower abdomen neutralizing my pelvis, okay? Because if I get from this position, which offers lumbar compression and abdominal expansion, if I'm neutral, now I have a more favorable neutral position with more abdominal compression and less lumbar compression, which is where we want to be. This is the position we want to be in for our squatting, for our deadlifting, for our rowing, our pressing. Having a more neutral rib cage and pelvic relationship is going to be a great thing for all of these exercises, and this hang is a great way to do it. I'm going to show you guys one more time. I'm going to allow myself to get into extension. Ribs are flared, pelvis is anteriorly rotated. I'm going to exhale, feel the muscles of my abdomen, neutralize the rib cage, the knees come up, and I'll hold here for a few breath cycles. I'd recommend to do that not to failure. Leave 3 to 5 seconds of time in the tank and just relax. Superset that with overhead press. Do a couple rounds for your training as a primer or even after training. There's many contexts to use that drill, and that's gonna be a 90-90 hang. Enjoy, guys.